Please, don't let go.
My name is Edward Wallace, and I am a fisherman. The storm came out of nowhere. Not the kind you track on radar, the kind that feels deliberate, like the sea itself had turned predator. I was alone, 12 miles from shore, when the sky went from dawn gray to bruised black in minutes. No warning, no time to run. When you've lived by the tides long enough, you learn the ocean's moods. You know when it's restless, when it's playful, when it's hungry. That morning it felt like all three at once, and something else, something aware. The wind picked up, howling across the deck of my boat like a living thing. I moved quickly, securing the rigging with practiced hands, my body moving on instinct, even as my mind screamed at me to head for shore. But something kept me there, a pull deep in my chest, like an invisible thread tugging me forward. That's when I saw it, a flash of light in the water. Not lightning, too blue, too steady. It cut through the waves like a blade of pure luminescence, there and gone, appearing again 20 feet closer. My hands froze on the rope, my breath catching in my throat. The boat lurched. Something massive scraped the hull, sending vibrations through the deck beneath my feet. I grabbed the gaff hook and leaned over the rail, squinting through the rain that now fell in sheets. The water had turned dark. Not storm dark, but empty dark, like looking into a void. Then I saw her. At first I thought it was debris, a pale shape tangled in something rolling with the current. Long hair spread across the surface like spilled mercury, catching that strange blue light from below. Then the waves lifted her, and I saw the curve of a shoulder, the line of an arm reaching upward through the foam. A woman, drowning. I didn't think. I stripped off my jacket and dove. The cold hit me like a fist. Salt burned my eyes, filled my mouth. I kicked hard, arms cutting through the churn, following that pale shimmer that seemed to glow even in the murky depths. The current fought me, pulling me sideways, trying to drag me under, but I pushed harder. My fingers found her. Not fabric, something smooth and scaled, alive, beneath my grip. The texture sent a shock through me, but I didn't let go. Couldn't let go. I hooked my arm around her and kicked for the surface. She was heavier than she should have been, like the water itself was trying to claim her. My lungs screamed for air, my muscles burned. Her head lolled against my shoulder as I broke the surface, gasping, choking on seawater and rain. The boat was 10 feet away, might as well have been a mile. I kicked with everything I had, pulling her with me, fighting the waves that tried to separate us. When my hand finally found the rail, I thought my arm would tear from its socket. I hauled us both up, muscle and sinew straining, collapsing onto the deck with her limp form sprawled across my chest. Water poured from her mouth. Her skin was ice cold against mine. I rolled her onto her side, my hands shaking as I tried to remember what little I knew about saving drowning victims. That's when I saw it. Not legs, a tail. The word didn't make sense. My brain rejected it even as my eyes confirmed what I was seeing. Long, powerful, scaled in patterns that shifted between silver and deep ocean blue in the stormlight. The fin at the end was torn, shredded like something had tried to rip it apart. Bioluminescent markings ran along the length of it, pulsing weakly, fading with each shallow breath she took. I scrambled backward, my back hitting the opposite rail. This wasn't possible, couldn't be real. Mermaids were stories, legends told by drunk sailors in dark bars. They didn't exist. They couldn't exist. But there she was. Her skin was alabaster, almost translucent in the lightning that now forked across the sky. Silver hair clung to her face and shoulders, darker at the roots, lighter at the tips, where it seemed to glow with its own internal light. Her chest rose in shallow, desperate gasps that made her whole body shudder. She was dying. Whatever she was dying. I crawled forward on my knees, rain hammering down around us, the boat pitching violently with each wave. My hand hovered over her, afraid to touch her, afraid of what it would mean if I did. Her skin was cool and smooth beneath my palm when I finally placed it against her shoulder. The scales of her tail caught the light, each one a tiny prism. Up close, I could see the damage, deep gouges that wept that strange luminescent fluid, tears in the delicate membrane of her fins. I reached out with shaking hands to brush the hair back from her face, and froze. Her eyes opened. Not human eyes, too large, too luminous. The irises were the color of deep water where light doesn't reach, ringed with silver that seemed to glow from within. Ancient and young all at once, terrified and knowing. They found mine and locked on, and I felt something shift inside my chest, like a key turning in a lock I hadn't known existed. Her lips parted. I saw the delicate points of her teeth, small and perfect like the edges of a broken shell. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. Just a wet gasp that made my heart clench. Then I heard it, not with my ears, but inside my skull, echoing in the hollow places behind my thoughts. Please, don't let go. I jerked back, but her hand, smaller than mine, webbed between the fingers, shot out and grabbed my wrist with surprising strength. Her touch sent electricity racing up my arm, warm despite her cold skin. You must stay near me, the voice whispered again, desperate and fading. Only your touch keeps me alive. What? The word came out hoarse. I don't understand. Her grip tightened. Where her skin met mine, I felt something change. A warmth spreading from the point of contact, flowing through my veins like liquid light. The bioluminescent marks on her tail pulsed brighter, stronger, their glow intensifying with each second I held her. She was healing. Somehow, impossibly, my touch was healing her. How is this? I started, but she shook her head weakly. Don't let go. Each word felt heavy, like she was using the last of her strength to speak them into my mind. So I didn't. I gathered her closer, cradling her against my chest as the storm raged around us. Her tail curled slightly, the torn fins trembling. I could feel her heartbeat against my ribs, too slow, too weak, but growing steadier as I held her. The boat pitched violently, nearly throwing us both across the deck. I braced myself against the cabin wall, one arm locked around her, the other gripping a cleat. Lightning split the sky, illuminating her face in stark relief. Beautiful and terrible and completely impossible. "Who are you?" I whispered, not expecting an answer. Her eyes met mine again, and I saw something in their depths that made my breath catch. Not just fear or pain, but recognition. Like she'd been looking for me, like she'd known I would find her. "Seraphine," she breathed into my mind, and then her eyes closed, her body going limp in my arms. But I could still feel it, that connection between us, that warmth where my skin touched hers. A golden thread binding us together, pulsing with each beat of her heart, each draw of her breath. The storm howled, the sea raged, and I held on to her like she was the only real thing in a world that had just stopped making sense. Because whatever had just happened, whatever impossible thing I'd pulled from the ocean, I knew with absolute certainty, my life would never be the same. The storm broke just before dawn. I held Seraphine through the worst of it, my body a shield against the wind and rain that tried to tear us apart. Hours passed like centuries. Every wave that crashed over the deck, every violent pitch of the boat threatened to rip her from my arms. But I didn't let go. Couldn't let go. That golden thread between us hummed with a desperate energy, as if it alone kept both of us tethered to life. When the sky finally lightened to a bruised gray, I was exhausted. My muscles screamed, my clothes were soaked through. But Seraphine's breathing had steadied, and the bioluminescent marks along her tail glowed with a soft, healthy radiance. I'd pulled us into the cabin at some point during the night, managing to wedge her tail through the narrow doorway while keeping constant contact with her skin. Now she lay on the cushioned bench, her head resting on a bundle of spare netting I'd fashioned into a pillow. Her eyes were closed, but I could feel her awareness in my mind, a gentle presence, like someone standing just behind me in a dark room. I sat on the floor beside her, one hand resting on her arm. Every time I tried to pull away, even just to grab water or check the instruments, her hand would twitch toward mine, and that voice would whisper through my thoughts, "Stay." So I stayed. On the second day, she finally spoke in more than fragments. I was dozing when her voice filled my head, clearer this time, almost melodic despite the exhaustion that still tinged it. "You have questions." My eyes snapped open. She was watching me, those impossibly large eyes reflecting the pale light filtering through the cabin windows. Her hair had dried into silver waves that cascaded over the bench, catching the light like spun moonbeams. "That's putting it mildly," I said, my voice hoarse from disuse. A faint smile touched her lips. "You want to know what I am?" "For starters." I shifted, my back protesting the movement. "And why I can hear you in my head. And why my touch is apparently the only thing keeping you alive. And what the hell attacked you out there?" Her smile faded. She pushed herself up slowly, wincing as her damaged tail moved. I helped her, supporting her weight, and felt that warmth flow between us again, stronger now, more insistent. "I am Meridani," she said, and with the word came images, vast underwater cities built from coral and crystal, beings like her moving through the depths with grace and purpose, their tails creating currents that carried life to every corner of the ocean. "We are the guardians of the sea, the keepers of its balance." I stared at her. "Guardians? You mean there are more of you?" There were. Pain flickered across her face. "Once, we numbered in the thousands. We sang to the currents, tended the deep places, ensured the ocean remained vibrant and alive. But we have been hunted, destroyed. Now only a handful remain, scattered across the world's waters." "Hunted by what?" She was silent for a long moment, her eyes distant. When she finally answered, her voice was barely a whisper. "The dark tide." The name sent ice down my spine. Outside, the sea had calmed, but at her words, I swore I felt the boat shudder. "It is ancient," Seraphine continued, her hand gripping mine tighter. "Older than my kind, older than humanity. A force born from the deepest trenches, from the places where light has never touched. It feeds on life, on the energy that flows through all living things. For millennia we kept it contained, bound by our songs and our sacrifice. But something changed. Everything changed." Her eyes met mine, and I saw fear there, real, primal fear. "The balance has shifted. Your world grows warmer. The seas rise and churn. The old bonds that held the dark tide have weakened, and it has grown strong enough to hunt us, to destroy the very guardians meant to contain it." I processed this slowly, my mind struggling to accept what she was telling me. "So this thing, this dark tide, it's trying to kill you because you can stop it?" "Because I am the last." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. "The last?" My voice came out strangled. "You mean—" "The last Meridani with the power to seal it away." She touched her chest, where the scales gave way to pale skin. "I carry the song of binding, passed down through generations of my kind. It was meant to be shared among many, but now—" Her voice broke. "Now it rests with me alone, and I am dying." "No." The word came out fierce. "You're healing. I can feel it. Whatever this connection between us is doing, it's working." She smiled sadly. "You are keeping me alive, yes, but you do not understand the cost." "Then explain it to me." Seraphine shifted, her tail moving in the confined space. The torn fins had begun to knit themselves back together, I realized, slowly but visibly. "There is a prophecy," she said, "old as the Meridani themselves. It speaks of a time when our kind would fade, when the ocean's guardian would fall. But it also speaks of an anchor, a human whose heart beats in rhythm with the sea, whose soul is pure enough to sustain the last of us when all seems lost." Understanding crashed over me like a cold wave. "You're saying I'm this anchor? Your touch sustains me because your life force resonates with the ocean itself. You were born for this, Edward Wallace, born to be my tether to this world." She reached up, her webbed fingers gentle against my cheek. "Without you, I fade. And when I fade, the dark tide will be free to consume the seas, to bring eternal darkness to the waters, and then to the land." "That's insane." I pulled away, pacing the small cabin. "I'm just a fisherman. I catch cod and mackerel. I don't save the world." "The ocean chose you." "The ocean doesn't choose anything. It's water, it's—" I stopped, remembering that morning. The pull I'd felt. The certainty that had kept me from running when every instinct screamed to flee. "How long have you known? About me?" "I have dreamed of you," she said softly. "For years, I have seen your face in my visions. Seen the moment when you would pull me from death's grip. I searched for you across thousands of miles of ocean, following the current of fate itself. And when the dark tide found me, when it tore through my body and left me dying, I had just enough strength to let that current carry me to you." I sank down beside her again, my head spinning. "This is too much. You're asking me to believe that my entire life led to this moment? That I'm somehow responsible for saving the entire ocean? I am asking you to trust what you feel." She placed my hand over her heart. Through her skin I could feel it beating, slow and steady, sinking gradually with my own. "Do you not feel the truth of it? The rightness?" I did. God help me, I did. That connection between us felt as natural as breathing, as inevitable as the tide. Like I'd been searching for her my entire life without knowing it. "What do we do?" I asked finally. Relief washed across her face. "We survive. We grow stronger. And when the time comes," she glanced toward the window, toward the darkening horizon, "we face what hunts us." As if summoned by her words, the boat lurched. Not from a wave, from something beneath us. Something massive moving through the water, creating a current that pulled us sideways. Seraphine's hand clamped down on mine, her eyes wide with terror. "It's here." I moved to the window. The sea had gone still, unnaturally still, and in that stillness, something rose, a shadow beneath the surface, vast and dark and moving with terrible purpose toward my boat, toward Seraphine. The dark tide had found us. The shadow rose like a nightmare given form. I'd seen big things in the ocean before, whales that could swallow a man whole, sharks that moved through the water like living torpedoes. This was different. This was wrong. The shadow didn't move like a natural creature. It moved like darkness itself, like the absence of light had learned to swim. "Get below deck," I said, but Seraphine was already shaking her head. "It won't matter where we hide," her voice trembled in my mind. "It can sense me. It has always been able to sense me." The water around the boat began to churn. Not waves, something worse. The sea was turning black, spreading outward from that shadow like ink through water. Where the darkness touched, everything died. I watched a school of fish surface, their bodies already rotting, their eyes white and empty. What do we do? My hand found the flare gun in the emergency kit. Useless, probably, but holding it made me feel slightly less helpless. We fight. Seraphine pulled herself upright, her tail coiling beneath her. The bioluminescent marks along her scales blazed brighter, almost defiant. Together, Edward, it's the only way. The shadow breached. I thought it was big from below. I was wrong. The creature that rose from the depths was massive beyond comprehension. A serpent made of darkness and malice, its body thick as a ship's mast, stretching back into the black water until I couldn't see where it ended. Its head was all teeth and eyes, dozens of eyes that glowed with a sickly green phosphorescence, arranged in patterns that hurt to look at. The dark tide had come for Seraphine. It opened its mouth, and the sound that emerged wasn't a roar. It was silence. A void of noise so complete it made my ears ring, made my brain scream at the wrongness of it. The air itself seemed to freeze. Then it struck. The serpent lunged forward with impossible speed. I threw myself over Seraphine, felt the boat shatter beneath us as the creature's body smashed through the hull. Wood exploded. We hit the water hard. The cold was the least of my worries. The darkness surrounded us, thick as oil. I couldn't see, couldn't breathe. Seraphine's hand found mine in the black, her grip desperate. "Hold on to me," she commanded, and her voice carried a new strength. "Don't let go, no matter what happens." Light exploded from her body, brilliant, searing white-blue light that pushed back the darkness, creating a sphere of clarity in the chaos. I could see again, see the creature circling us, its massive form coiling tighter, preparing for another strike. See Seraphine, her eyes blazing with power, her tail moving in complex patterns that sent currents of energy rippling through the water. "I need your strength," she said. "All of it. This will hurt, Edward. It will change you. But it's the only way to defeat this thing. Do it." She pressed her forehead to mine. The world exploded. Energy poured through me, not just from her, but from everywhere. I felt the ocean's heartbeat, vast and ancient and alive. Felt every creature swimming in its depths, every current, every drop of water. The pain was incredible, like my body was being torn apart and rebuilt from the inside out. But beneath it was something else. Power, purpose, belonging. I understood in that moment what Seraphine had meant. I wasn't just connected to the ocean. I was the ocean. Had always been. Every day I'd spent on the water, every fish I'd caught, every storm I'd weathered, it had all been leading to this. The dark tide struck again, its jaws wide enough to swallow us both. I raised my hand, and the ocean responded. Water rose around us like a living wall, hardening into something between liquid and crystal. The serpent's teeth shattered against it. It recoiled, shrieking that terrible silent shriek, its eyes blazing with fury and confusion. Together, Seraphine's voice merged with mine, our thoughts becoming one. Strike together. We moved as one entity. Her tail, my legs, our arms outstretched. The light from her body and the power flowing through mine combined, creating something new. A spear of pure energy that blazed like a star being born. The serpent saw it coming, tried to dive, to escape back into the depths where it had festered for eons. But we were faster. The spear pierced its body dead center. The creature's scream this time had sound, a wail of rage and pain that shattered the surface of the ocean, sent waves rolling outward for miles. Its body thrashed, the darkness that composed it beginning to fragment, to dissolve into the water like smoke. But it wasn't done. With its last strength, it lunged for Seraphine. Not to kill her, to take her with it, to drag her down into the abyss where it was dying. I didn't hesitate. I threw myself between them, felt the creature's teeth sink into my shoulder. The pain was beyond anything I'd ever imagined. ice and fire and emptiness all at once. I felt my life force draining, felt the dark tide trying to pull me into its death spiral. "No!" Seraphine's scream tore through my mind. She grabbed me, wrapped her arms and tail around my body. And then she sang. Not with her voice, with her very essence. The song of binding, ancient and powerful, woven from the first notes the ocean had ever made. It filled the water, filled the air, filled everything. And as she sang, she poured her life force into me, replacing what the dark tide had stolen. More than that, she merged with me. Our life forces didn't just touch, they fused, became inseparable. I felt her strength flowing into me, and mine into her. Two beings becoming something greater than the sum of their parts. A bridge between land and sea, human and Meridani, mortal and eternal. The dark tide couldn't withstand it. The creature shattered, its body breaking apart into thousands of fragments that dissolved into harmless shadow, then into nothing at all. The darkness that had spread across the ocean receded, pulled back into the depths, and where it had been, life returned. Fish swam, coral bloomed. The water turned from black to blue to crystal clear. The silence was deafening. We floated there, Seraphine and I, still wrapped around each other. The connection between us hummed with energy, stronger than ever, unbreakable now. I could feel her heartbeat as clearly as my own, could sense her thoughts, her relief, her joy, her love. Love. "Is it over?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "The dark tide is destroyed," she confirmed, her physical voice emerging for the first time, soft and musical and achingly beautiful. "But our bond, Edward, what we did, we can never be separated now. Your life is mine, mine is yours, forever." I should have been terrified, should have mourned the simple fisherman's life I'd lost. Instead, I felt complete, like I'd been half a person my entire existence, and only now understood what it meant to be whole. "I can live with that," I said. She laughed, actually laughed, the sound like wind chimes and waves on shore. "The ocean is healing, I can feel it. The balance is restored, but it will need guardians, someone to watch over it, to ensure the darkness never returns. Good thing we're not going anywhere." We swam together toward what remained of my boat, pieces of it floating on the now calm surface. The sun was rising, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. In the distance I could see dolphins breaching, celebrating the victory we'd won. Seraphine's tail brushed against my legs that could now feel the currents the way she did, could sense the ocean's moods and needs. I'd been changed, transformed into something between human and guardian, neither fully one nor the other, both. She kissed me as we reached the wreckage, her lips warm despite the cool water. "Thank you," she whispered, "for saving me, for saving all of us." "Thank you," I replied, "for showing me what I was meant to be." The ocean stretched before us, vast and alive and ours to protect. The bond between us would never break. The responsibility would never end. But as I held Seraphine in my arms, feeling the pulse of the sea itself flowing through both of us, I knew I wouldn't want it any other way. This was my destiny, our destiny, and it was just beginning.